All right, so Solheim has recently been posting a lot of stuff about Turtle WoW, and just now he posted a video where it says, "Should Turtle WoW launch a fresh server?" This video we'll be reacting to his. I watched 2 minutes of his video, but I haven't watched the entire video. And I just thought to myself, I recently made a video giving my arguments as to why I think they should make a fresh server. So I'm interested in Solheim's take on this, his reasons as to why, or maybe why not. So we'll today be reacting to his video. So let's jump into it and see what he has to say.
What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Turtle WoW video, and today we're talking about should the Turtle WoW have a fresh server? This is a topic that comes up quite often when it comes to classic WoW content in general, whether it's classic era, like classic plus, a seasonal type of WoW, like for example the anniversary series we have, season of discovery, season of mastery, you name it, like fresh is always fun, and for Turtle WoW, should Fresh be launched? Let's cover this topic a little bit in depth here, and I'll be talking about my opinions when it comes to Fresh as well. Now, I'm going to start this off by saying that Turtle WoW absolutely does not need a Fresh. Like, even just comparing to Turtle WoW to anniversary servers that are like 3 months old now, this server is struggling less. Like when it comes to the marketplace, the economical aspect, it's less inflation in Turtle WoW after years than, for example, anniversary servers that are going absolutely insane already after just a couple of months.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, actually. Just thinking about era servers, how inflated everything is. I jumped in on my Hunter some months ago and just to try and, check it out again, see if it would cut my interest. But I joined a GDCP for the first time since, I think, Burning Crusade. And I think I earned around 2,500 gold from what was it? I want to say Blackwing Lair run. But anyway, it was just such an incredible amount of gold that instead of me feeling, well, in the moment, I felt excited about it. But afterwards, I was like, okay, now what's the point? Like, and everything was so expensive on the auction house. So just imagining someone trying to play there for the first time, making a new character, it's impossible to afford anything. How would you buy a level 6 bow on the auction house when it costs 25 gold? How are you going to make this gold at such a low level? So yeah, inflation, economy, a very good point that in Turtle WoW it's not as bad. Far from it, actually. It's quite a good economy they have got going there, where things are reasonably expensive and yeah, affordable.
So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because Turtle WoW, once again, absolutely does not need a Fresh, but that's not to say it wouldn't actually benefit from a Fresh. So let's talk about my point of view here, because I'm just going to say it right now, a quick TLDR, is that I think Turtle WoW should have a Fresh server, but it might not be in the way you might think at the moment. I'm just going to say right now I'm questing in the custom-made Gilneas questing zone, by the way, like south of Silverpine, and that is just like one of the fantastic things. One of the great things about Turtle WoW is all of the custom content that we have. That was kind of like a sidetrack for a second, but like I'm loving the server so far, and the custom zones with custom quests and everything, it is just part of the charm. So once again, fresh server. I think Turtle WoW should have one, but how exactly should it work? Now, when it comes to fresh, you have pretty much two sides, where side number one wants to have a fresh because they want to experience certain types of content that they currently can't experience, like for example, progressing in Molten Core with people where Molten Core is currently the end game raid. Now, if you're playing Turtle WoW right now, the only way to really progress in Molten Core is to join a guild with 20 plus more people that also want to progress starting in Molten Core, because the current content for us in Turtle WoW, Molten Core was like years ago at this point. We have Naxxramas out, we have Ankh-Raj out, we even have Karazhan out, and raids past Naxxramas. So Molten Core is not current content, even though some people still do it. You have way better raids to do, and way better gear you can acquire. So people...
Yes, and not only that, I also think that even if you wanted to do, like, how would you gather people to progress Molten Core? Like, you'd likely have someone with better gear, or you'd likely bring along a tank who maybe has some next gear. So he'll just carry you through it. So you won't feel the same progression because there's not this barrier to entry. Like, everyone will probably have the dowses, and some people will have better gear, which in turn will make it easier. So there are many things like that. And not only PvE wise, also PvP wise, as I've said many times in my videos, I think the worst thing about having such a progressed server is once you ding level 60, you can't just join. Well, you can, but you will get crushed if you join Battlegrounds at that point, because there's no even playing field anymore. People will be running around with the might of Minithal and tier 3 gear to tier 3.5 gear now and just crush you.
People that really want to experience Molten Core as a progression raid, it's kind of hard to do at the moment, and they kind of want to go through, like, people want to go through Classic WoW, where they first off, like, farm pre-raid bis to then do Molten Core, and then after a few months you progress into Blackwing Lair, after a few months you start doing ZG, then AQ, then Naxxramas, right? The natural way of progressing through content, which at the moment you really can't do. Then you have the other side for people that don't want to have fresh, because they feel like it will fragment the player base, and that is absolutely true. So what I'm going to, like, talk about here is a way to give people fresh, but also not split up the player base, because every time you have a fresh server, you do end up splitting the player base. I mean, just look now at Classic WoW with the Anniversary servers, we have split up Classic Era and Anniversary, and, well, Classic Era has definitely suffered in a negative way from having fresh Classic WoW, but long term, I think it will benefit, and the same thing goes for Turtle WoW. So what I recommend is having a fresh server, but have it be seasonal. And what do I mean by this? Well, I would like to see a fresh server, let's just say, a hypothetical scenario here, the fresh server launches tomorrow. That is, like, once again, purely hypothetical. It should have way bigger, like, give it 1 or 2 months to build some hype for it.
I'm keen. I think he's probably going to suggest the exact same thing that I suggested in my video, which is merging the servers or forcing transfers and then shutting down the seasonal server. So you merge in the end, just as I posted in my most recent video, that Turtle WoW should make a new server, put it on a faster timeline so it catches up to the existing server, even though the existing server comes out with new content constantly, but on a faster timeline, and then in the end, just merge the two so we don't fragment the community. Then everybody gets what they want. I can't see an issue with that.
Obviously, but let's just say it launched tomorrow. In that case, it would go to Molten Core first, then Blackwing Lair, then, like, ZG, then AQ, then Naxxramas, the typical way of progressing through content, and that fresh server should from the start be said or told, like, verbally agreed, that it will have a 15-month lifespan, or even let's say 18, so it's 1.5 years. Then you can go experience fresh for 1.5 years where you progress through the content. Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, ZG, AQ, Naxxramas, Karasan, you basically progress through all the content Turtle WoW currently has in 1.5 years, and after that 1.5 years, you catch up to the current version of Turtle WoW, in which case the servers merge. So the new server gives people the ability to play fresh for 1.5 years, and after those 1.5 years, no matter how you feel about this, because I told you from the start, the fresh server gets merged into the current server we have at the moment. Now, this would fragment the player base for a short while this fresh server actually survives. So, like, for that 1.5 years that fresh is out, the player base will be split, where some people stay on the current server.
Solheim, I got flamed in my comments for pitching this idea to the community. And once we're done with this video, we'll check out your comment. Probably not with that many comments yet, but wait until people they get a hold of you. And the Turtle WoW community does clearly, or at least a vocal minority, clearly does not want this. I think actually most of my comments, and I had a lot of dislikes on my video, on my proposal to do the exact same thing as you're proposing here. So that's gonna be interesting to see your comments.
And some people play on fresh. But is that a bad thing? I would say no, because at the end, after 1.5 years, we all end up in the same place, and the reality is, every time you have a fresh, you will bring in brand new people, especially if you market it. Like, marketing a fresh, people love fresh. A lot of people do. And then you just have people that want to experience, like, a comment I see quite often in my comments, for example, is people not feeling... They feel bad when they join Turtle WoW now, knowing that people have a full best in slot already, thousands of gold already, all their legendaries already, and basically people have cleared all the content, and then you come in as a new person, you are literally permanently behind. You will never catch up.
You would bring in so many new people if you would do this. Merge bring out a fresh server and then merge them at the end.
And that's a bad feeling. And once again, while it will fragment the player base and split it up a little bit from the start, it could definitely be a net positive when you think long-term here, because a fresh server will definitely bring in brand new people, and those people will then, after 1.5 years, be transferred or merged into the regular Turtle WoW server, which could then increase the popularity of Turtle WoW by a huge amount. And here's the thing, then you can have another fresh starting later as well. So for example, if a fresh server lasted for 18 months, so 1.5 years, you could then have 6 more months of no fresh at all, and then after 6 months you launch one more fresh, which basically means every 2 years you will have a fresh experience launching. lasting for 1.5 years, and then you give people 6 months to miss fresh, and that way you just keep the cycle going. And every time you will bring in some new people that just wants to play in a fresh environment.
I'm glad we completely agree on this one, Solheim. I am all in with you. I think this should be what Turtle Wow does to keep the server alive and to keep more people joining the server. Because I think I did a poll on my community, and I think the majority who answered why they wouldn't play Turtle Wow answered because it was progressed. So I think it's really a big issue, bigger issue than people would like to admit.
Where people on that server don't have fully best in slot items, and you can basically be in more of a fair place. Now, when it comes to Classic WoW, PvP, for example, if you're playing on the PvP server in Turtle WoW, well, if you are level 1, or let's just say level 10, 15, level 30, and everyone else around you, they're level 60, full Nox Ramus gear, ganking you, it's a bad feeling. It's why fresh PvP servers are always so popular at the start, because everyone starts at level 1. And even if you get to level 60, like, people are not going to have Nox Ramus gear in Anniversary for a year, or at least
Exactly.
several months. And that way you know that you will not just get ganked by somebody who's been on the server for years, and you're not going to get, like, gear gapped, kind of.
Yeah,
Now, at
agreed.
this point, I know what some of you guys are going to say, and you're going to say that Turtle WoW has already tried releasing a fresh, and yes, they have. They have actually tried to launch a PvP server. Not just tried, it's still up, and it's actually quite popular. It is just
Yeah, and the problem with that, and I think also people tried to dispute this in my comment section, but the thing is, Season of Discovery, it launched right after. And actually, in the beginning, the new PvP server, it had around 6,000 people on it. But many of the people left it. And I did a poll again on this one, so I know for sure that most of the people who left, they left because of Season of Discovery. And they never came back because at that point it was already progressed. So bad luck. But if you make a seasonal fresh, maybe you'll hit some points where it's the same thing. Like Blizzard will come with their Classic Plus, and they will fuck up again, and then people will. But at some point you're gonna hit a fresh, and then people are gonna stay. So I don't think there's this big issue around about it.
just not as popular as Northern are, and comparing those two, you feel like the PvP server is dead, because it simply has, like, what, 20% of the player base of the PvE server, so, like, for every 5 people in Turtle WoW, there's 1 on the PvE server, or the PvP server, I mean. So this one launched right here, it's called Telebeam, I have a level 55 there, for example, and it didn't really feel that popular at launch either. It was definitely, like, it was popular, but not compared to the PvE server, and this one basically went through phase 1, then phase 2, then phase 3, and then phase 4. So it was phase 1, including Onyxia, Molten Core, and then phase 2 was Black Lair and the Suligrib, phase 3 was AQ, and phase 4 was Nox Ramus, as you can see right here. So they've already tried this. Why didn't this one pop off that much? Well, there's 2 major reasons. Number 1, the Turtle WoW player base isn't really that PvP oriented. It feels like
That's also very, very true. Like the majority of the people who have been playing on Turtle WoW since 2018, they rolled on it. There was only a PvE server, so it would cater to mostly PvE players. So it makes a lot of sense that the vast majority of the current Turtle WoW community are PvEers. But the vast amount of people who like a Classic Plus and in general just play Classic Vanilla, they are PvPers. You can only just take a look at the servers in on Era and Season of Discovery, and pretty much every version of Classic. They are always the PvP servers are always the most popular, for sure.
like if the main server is a roleplay slash PvE server, and that feels like it's a major player base that they are currently marketing for it, and it's their main player base at the moment. But you also have one more thing that made the server not be that popular, and that is the fact that if we look at the release date one more time, it is October 27th. And what else launched around that time? That is right, we have Season of
Yep.
Discovery, 30th of November, 1 month later.
Spot
Season of
on.
Discovery launched, and this one also, like, people had 2 or 3 weeks to prepare, right? So around the same time that Telebeam launched, Season of Discovery was announced, and
Yeah.
before it was announced, people also had kind of an idea that something was being announced, just like BlizzCon, and was it Blizzard Direct or BlizzCon? Like, either way, people knew something was happening, and this got launched and, like, announced. And Season of Discovery, regardless of whether you're happy or sad about it right now, when it came out, it was popping. We had some of the highest player counts we have ever had. It was insane. So when it comes to Turtle WoW having tried the fresh server in the past, I would say they have, but they also haven't. Because first of all, they tried to accommodate to a different community than they currently have by making a PvP server, when the main player base they have tried to market to, and that they have gathered on the server is roleplay plus PvE based, and we do have, like,
Yeah.
a decent amount of PvP going on here as well, because you can actually turn on PvP while you're leveling, and you are incentivized to do so to get plus 20% experience, so you have open world PvP while you're leveling. It is
On that note, I made a poll. Once again, I do many polls on my community tab. But I asked people if they were to launch a new server, which one should it be, a PvP server or a PvE with the optional, like opting in for PvP, just like it is on Northrunner? And the majority answered that they would like to see, I think it was 70% answered, they would like to see the PvE server, fresh PvE server, with the option to opt in for PvP. And of course, you could say that that's mainly because still the community is a PvE community. But again, I feel like this is a sweet spot for everyone. Like then the PvEers you're catering to the community you already have, but you're also allowing PvP for those who would like to join a fresh server. In my opinion, what they should do this time around is maybe make PvP the standard, and then you opt out of PvP, because I think a lot of people maybe don't realize, or if you're just new to a server, if you at least if you would like to see more of a PvP community, then the opt in or out option should be opting out of PvP, not opting into PvP. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just my take because I'm a PvP Andy. So maybe you'll disagree, and that's fine.
It's just an opt-in PvP instead of being forced to PvP. So even though it's a PvE server, there's definitely a lot of PvP happening as well. Plus, we have Battlegrounds, right? So people that really want to PvP usually do so inside Battlegrounds. And then, so like number one was the player base itself and them trying to appeal to a PvP-centric player base. But then number two was just the timing. And Turtle WoW's dev team can't really be faulted here because I think they planned this release for quite a while. And then they basically got slapped with the release date of Seasonal Discovery, so it was just really bad timing on their part, but nothing they could have really done there. So when it comes to Fresh, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because once again, I feel like if Fresh is implemented the right way, it could be a huge positive for Turtle WoW in general. Once again, a Fresh server that lasts for 18 months or 1.5 years, and at the end gets merged with the regular Turtle WoW server, and that way everyone benefits, and the server simply gets bigger.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Either way, that's basically what I have for you today, so once again, let me know your thoughts in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.
I'll be liking this video. I think I very much agree with this. I can see you already have 36 comments, so let's take a look at what people they say. Turtle very low RMT, Blizzard servers very high, real money transaction. Proof about how bad messes up the yeah. Yeah, that's mostly the reason why. It's like botting and RMT is the reasons why era servers are so, like the economy is so poor. My understanding of Turtle was that the server is more about adding content, expanding vanilla, adding tier rate Naxxramas after Naxxramas, rather than being a fresh vanilla on repeat. Yes, it is. But why can't you have both of these things at the same time? I got these comments on my video as well, and why can't you have both? If you put the new fresh server on a slightly faster timeline, even though the existing server is moving like this, the new server would be moving a little bit faster. So it will catch up to the existing server at some point in the future. And then at that point, you merge the two. And then I don't see why you can't keep on pushing out new content. That being said, even Turtle can go stale. Development content is much slower than players beating the content. I think each season of Fresh should add a twist to the experience. Something new, never experienced before. It could revamp the class mechanics and shuffle off tier like Naxxramas being. No, that's unnecessary. I see what you're saying here. But in my opinion, it's very much unnecessary and would just make it so that this would make the era servers, I'm talking about the Northrunner, Turtle Northrunner, people who wants to stay on Northrunner, they'll feel like they're missing out on something. And that's the whole point. They shouldn't feel like they are missing out on anything. You know, basically, it's the newer, this is going to be for the newer people who haven't experienced the progression of the server. Let them experience that's just my take, at least. Let's see what else people have to say. Who would want to progress Molten Core? Probably the worst raid in history. I disagree. I would like to progress. I would like to progress every raid on Turtle WoW. Just the fresh, being a fresh server, getting the feeling that you're raiding the raids when they're current. It's not so much to do with Molten Core. But I want to do world PvP. I want to raid. I want to progress through the game while everyone is on an even playing field. Well, like, would you like to join a Counter-Strike game where everyone uses wall hack except of you? You probably would get bored of that pretty fast, right? I wouldn't want to join a battleground where everyone is neck geared except of me. Yes, if there was a fresh realm for Turtle WoW, I would play and quit after the anniversary immediately. And I think the silent majority of people would agree with something like this. It's getting a fresh once they launch the 2.0, the Unreal Engine for Turtle WoW. It will literally be classic WoW with modern graphics and sound the same. So the same game, different all around feel. Yeah, let's hope that's gonna. I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but again, that's great for the people who will be able to join this time around. But 2 years from this point, people will want maybe a fresh again because many people missed out on the first time. Maybe let's say Blizzard comes out with their version of a Classic Plus just a month after this launches. Then you'll have the same problem as you did with the PvP server. But having a seasonal, recurring, fresh, at some point they're going to hit a sweet spot. Even if something bad happens and some other server goes live and either a private server or a retail classic fresh, whatever, you're not gonna miss out several times. At some point, you're gonna hit the nail right on the head on its head, and a lot of people will join. I think they should focus on their new client when that is ready. They should combine it with the fresh. Yes, true. And then 2 years, 3 years from that point, they should make another fresh. But I agree. Telebeam was unlucky as Season of Disaster nipped it in the butt. Yep. Fresh sword server. No, please don't. That would be horrible. Making the same mistakes again. Fresh sword? What? Even Solheim, he's like, why would you want something like that? I think I would prefer if we just got a new permanent fresh with the launch of 2.0, since there will likely be a big influx of new servers. Maybe you're right. Maybe there will be so many people joining that they would anyway want to have 2 different servers. But just in case that doesn't happen, or let's say the people playing on this new fresh server, the population dwindles, then you still want to have the option for them to merge the servers in the end. As a new player, I still see characters in my level range all over the map. So to me, I don't feel overwhelmed to rush to endgame and feel super behind. And maybe it's because you're not a PvPer. If you try to join a battleground at level 60, you'll probably feel different. As leveling, I don't see the big issue. And I also don't see the biggest issue in era except for the economy. That's why a fresh is also great, because a fresh economy means things are not going to cost too much in the auction house and you'll be able to buy anything. But one of the reasons why you also see so many people leveling constantly on Turtle WoW is because they have a huge hardcore community that plays on the exact same realm. So half of the people you're seeing are hardcore people. And hardcore people have a tendency to die and play hardcore again. So that's why it also feels so alive at the low level zones. Totally agree. I'm not swapping from fresh to turtle. One of the reasons I'm not swapping. Okay. So I think I've been making mostly Turtle WoW videos. And I think Solheim's viewers are more open to the idea. He has a lot more viewers than I have, and is a lot bigger YouTube channel than I am. So it's refreshing to see that people who maybe might not be playing on Turtle WoW, are more open to wanting a fresh, because of the exact same reasons that I stated. Fresh is just very popular. It's very nice to have a complete reset of not only the economy, but all progression as well. So anyways, guys, that's my take. I loved the video, and see you in the next video. Bye.